This video is brought to you by Undoes It. We are back from Bimini. We're back home. Last time you guys saw us in our house, we believe we ended the scene right here where Amanda was like, Bimini, remember that?
I was like, Bahamas.
Bahamas, that's what it was. So in today's video, we actually had a lot of you guys asking us questions about like the price and how we kind of plan the whole thing budget-wise. So we are going to share everything with you guys, how much the Airbnb costs, the slip, everything. So if you do want to plan a trip to Bimini or the Bahamas or anything like this, you guys can start planning it now and you won't be shocked with the sticker shock. So we're going to get rid of that for you. So we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna break it down, and if you wanna choose to spend your money differently, maybe save some somewhere else than we did, and then spend more in places that we didn't. It's completely up to you. So, without further ado, my name is Emily, Amanda's behind the camera, this is Kona, and welcome to our channel, Gale Force Twins.
As many of you know, we spent quite a bit of time away from home on our trip to Bimini. Of course, we brought Kona with us, she goes everywhere with us, but we do have our other fur babies, Rover and Reptile, that had to stay home. We were so grateful that Gale Force Mom could be our trustworthy cat sitter. But sometimes, when we leave our kitty Reptile home alone for extended periods of time, he makes it known to us that he is not happy. That is why we left Gale Force Mom with the Undoes It Pet Odor and Stain Remover. Not only is the product great for your typical pet stains, for when Reptile gets angry, but it's also a great odor eliminator for that wet dog smell, which is perfect for Kona. The Pet Odor and Stain Remover can be used on so many materials, including upholstery, carpet, even kitty litter, and more. Having the Undoes It Pet Odor and Stain Remover at home with Rover and Reptile gave us a sense of relief should Gale Force Mom need to pick up any accidents. Be sure to click the link in the description box to get your Undoes It products.
If you guys haven't been following along, we just got back from an epic Bimini trip. So now we're gonna take the time and tell you guys about the cost of it, so that way if you'd like to go, you can budget properly. So if you guys wanna catch up and watch the videos, or maybe you wanna relive the moments with us, the videos will be in the description box. Without further ado, we are gonna start with the cost of the trip.
Alrighty, so let's just start with explaining that the price that we are gonna be giving you is for 2 people and a dog on a 39-foot boat.
Yes, so the bigger the boat, the more fuel you burn, the more fuel you need to fill up, and the more dock space you need.
And the more people you have, and the less people you have, if you bring dogs, don't bring
there
dogs.
is definitely some room for fluctuating here.
Right, so we're just gonna, let's just say 2 people, a dog, and a 39-foot boat. Alright, first we're gonna start with our permits and paperwork. That was the first thing we had to do. You guys already knew that. So at the current moment, for us, when we went, we were required to get COVID tested and to get a travel health visa. So insurance did not cover our COVID tests. Maybe they would cover yours, but it did not cover ours. So it was $258 for the 2 of us for our COVID tests. And then our travel health visas were $82.40 for the 2 of us. So that was like, hopefully
that's not a thing when you guys have to go. Hopefully we won't have to be doing these COVID tests and health visas.
Now, the one thing that will always be a thing is gonna be your cruising and fishing permits. You are gonna be required to get that. We got those from GoOutdoorsBahamas.com. You guys know that. Now, we had to pay $600 for ours, but that's because we're in a 39-foot boat.
Right, so if your boat is smaller, the price drops in half to $300. So depending on the size boat, depends on if you're over into that 600 or under.
And I wanna also add that the permits, I wanna say you can choose to get up to 1-year permits. So this permit doesn't cover just this trip. It covers, I think we're covered for 3 months on this one permit.
So if we wanna go back.
Exactly, so the permit's not like a recurring all the time. You can always get the one, you
can get the 1 year, the 3 month.
Yes, and the last permit we had to get was Kona. So Kona's vet appointment and Kona's paperwork, that one cost us, let me see, $56.20. So our grand total on permits and paperwork was $996.60 on paperwork alone.
The next thing we needed to do was stock up on bait, tackle, and some gear. So when we went over, we were kind of expecting to be able to buy bait and tackle there, and we were kind of shocked how little bait and tackle there was available. So I'm glad that we went over with everything we needed. We never needed to go buy anything, but we did not come over with chum. And that was one thing that if we wanted to go yellowtailing, we should have brought our own chum.
Yes.
So if you guys plan on reef fishing with chum, you need to bring your own chum.
But I do want to add to that there is a bait shop on the island, but it didn't open till 9 o'clock. And it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, we were ready to go fishing.
Yeah.
So we just decided to skip the reef fishing.
Our bait and tackle totaled $500. Now, if you have a bunch of tackle already, that price could go down. If you don't have a lot of tackle at all, that price is gonna go up.
And I want to say of that number, I think only $200 of it was bait, and the rest was tackle.
Yes.
But you guys also have to realize that we fish for a living, so investing in tackle is kind of a no-brainer for us, and it lasts longer than the trip.
Right, so we definitely came back with plenty of tackle that we're gonna continue to use for months.
Totally invested in tackle.
Right, so if you guys wanna get tackle just for the trip, you could totally get that price down.
A lot.
The next thing you are going to need, and that we highly, highly, highly recommend, if I could make it mandatory for you guys, I would, is some sort of handheld EPIRB. So this is a small personal beacon that if you fly overboard, you have it on you, the Coast Guard can find you. And if you are gonna be crossing from America to the Bahamas, you should have an EPIRB.
Yes.
Now, we already have EPIRBs, however, we did not have ours with us at the time, and I just said, I don't care that it costs literally almost $500 for an EPIRB.
We're buying another one.
Your life is priceless. And we are on boats a lot, so it's not bad for us to have extras.
Well, now we have 2.
So now we can put one in each of our fishing bags.
Exactly. We used to share one, but now we have 2. So the EPIRB
And
the
the other thing we had to get was flags. So you're gonna need quarantine flags, which is that yellow flag that we were flying. You're going to need a courtesy flag, which is the red flag with kind of the Bahamas colors on it, and a dive flag if you're doing any scuba diving or snorkeling or literally anchoring and getting in the water, you need a dive flag.
Yes.
So that was all at West Marine, and that totaled
$497.44.
We are currently sitting at $1,997.04. The next category we're going to talk about is food and groceries. So along the same line as the bait and tackle goes, when we got to Bimini, we were again pretty surprised by how little they had as far as groceries at the grocery stores.
Yes, I guess that's the one thing I would say is on groceries, if there's anything that I wish I did differently is I would have spent way more money on groceries in the US and probably cut down a lot of what we spent
over there. Because we did find some apples and oranges and things like that, and it is insanely expensive over there, and we were like, I don't even know why I bothered. I should have just basically not bought them here.
Although you cannot bring fruits and vegetables over.
You can't. So I just would have said, oh well, I'm not gonna have
just gonna skip fruits and vegetables. Seriously, would do that next time. So we spent $544.21 on groceries in America before we left. We brought things like steaks, pizzas,
chicken nuggets, protein shakes,
deli meat.
Stuff to make sandwiches. Lots of snacks,
and that was the best decision ever.
Yes, one thing that we forgot was cases of water. We were like, oh, that'll be easy to buy there. Surprisingly not.
So we'll get to how much we spent on water later on. But in the US, we're just talking in the US groceries, $544. Oh, also like condiments, you want to bring your own mayonnaise over, your own mustard over. So if you're making sandwiches, think everything. Seasonings, we brought salt, pepper, we bought seasonings for our lobster, we brought lemon juice. So like you literally need everything. At this point, with how much we spent so far before even making it to the Bahamas, we're at $2,538.25. Permits, groceries, tackle, West Marine, bait. It adds up. All right, our next category is going to be ice and fuel in the US. So now we're at the dock. Coolers are loaded. We've got our paperwork. We're at the dock in the US at the boat. Everything is packed and ready to go. And the one thing that you have to do before you leave is fill up on fuel in America.
Yes, like top off. Because fuel over there can get to over $5 a gallon.
Fuel was expensive for us. So in the US, I believe our fuel was like $4.85 in the US, and we filled up all 3 tanks on the Invincible. So we're on a 39-foot boat with 3 tanks. And I believe the 2 port and starboard tanks, they're like 130-gallon tanks. And you remember how many gallons the middle tank was?
I don't know, but basically
a lot.
Very large tanks.
So we spent $2,144.51 on fuel in the US. We had fuel left over. So we got there,
we fished, we dived, we did everything, and then we
came home.
Yes.
And there was fuel in the tank still.
So we actually returned the boat with more fuel in it than when we got in it.
Exactly.
So that boat had a ton of fuel, so that was a major bonus for us. That is one area where I would say, in a weird way, we kind of benefited from having a bigger boat, whereas a smaller boat, you'll probably have to refill over there, and you're gonna have to pay that over $5 a gallon kind of price.
Exactly. And the other thing we did, which I would really recommend, if you have insulated fish boxes, or honestly, pack a Yeti of ice.
Yes.
Ice alone. So we bought all of our ice in the US. We spent $214 on ice. And we filled up the entire coffin box
with ice.
How many pound of ice was it?
It was
like 30 10-pound bags.
30 10-pound bags, yeah. So
300 pounds of ice. And that ice lasted us all 5 days.
And then, except the very last day,
we got
to buy a little extra.
A little extra.
But basically, we went over with the intention of, I pretty much shouldn't have to buy ice or fuel.
So at this point, our total, now we've added ice and fuel to the mix, we are at the dock. We're at $4,896.76. But now it's time to cross and get there.
If you watched our first video of this series, you remember the first thing you have to do is dock for customs and pay a $25 landing fee.
Of course you do.
So just gonna throw that out there, 25 bucks cash for a landing fee.
Well, I put a credit card too.
Oh, they took credit card?
Oh yeah, they took
Oh,
credit
I
card.
wasn't there, she did it.
I did it, yeah.
Okay, I stayed on the boat, I didn't know that. The slip is where, for us, it would be on the pricey side because we were in a 39-foot boat, and the bigger your boat, the more dock space you have.
Yeah, so our slip, we broke it down. It was $265.24 per day, but that is including the water
and the electric.
and the electric and the taxes afterwards and the fees. Like,
yes,
there's tons of fees.
So total.
I want to say, like, before we went, I was quoted at like $170 a day, and then
it was like plus 12% VAT tax plus.
Right, so there's a lot of taxes. So we were there for 5 days, so we totaled $1,326.20 on the slip for 5 days. So that's another thing to remember, guys, is we're giving you the price of a 5-day trip. We can always break this down, and if you go for 2 days, 1 day, 3 days,
it would be less. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is get a golf cart, because how are you gonna get around the island? How are you even gonna get to your Airbnb? Like, literally, you're getting off your boat with all your suitcases, and you're not gonna walk a mile with suitcases to wherever you're staying.
If you choose to go the Airbnb route, or there's other options, we'll talk about that, but first let's talk about.
So it's $75 per day for a golf cart.
And $75, 5 days, it was $375 on the golf cart. Best decision ever. Get the golf cart.
Unless, of course, you are quite literally staying in the hotel where you just walk straight up to your room.
Exactly. So the Bimini Big Game Club and the Hilton, you can both get rooms there where your boat, you just walk down your boat. You can do that too. We chose Airbnb because we wanted a kitchen, and I do think
cook, and we definitely end up saving money.
Yes.
Because we literally ate out one time. The whole time.
The whole time we were there, we had one dinner where we ate out. The rest of it, we were cooking and staying inside. So I would say getting the Airbnb and the golf cart will save you money. Now, our Airbnb, how much did that cost? So we chose to get a 2-bedroom Airbnb, and that totaled us. So I do want to say that our 2-bedroom Airbnb on the Airbnb website, it was around actually under $300 a night. But once again, fees, taxes, cleaning fees, service fee came out to $315.37 per night for 5 nights. So that put us at $1,576.85 on the Airbnb. But we chose to get a 2-bedroom because we brought Kona, she's a large dog, and camera gear, rods. We just knew we had a lot of gear, and we really wanted something homey, and we were there for a long enough time for it to be worth it. Our Airbnb had a fully stocked kitchen, a washer and dryer.
I mean, it was pretty much like a house.
It was a house, so totally worth it on that end. Really glad with our decision there.
Once we got settled into our Airbnb, we went on a hunt for some fruits and vegetables and some extra groceries, which once again, in hindsight, I would have just skipped that altogether. Between the one dinner that we did, I believe we also, one morning, we got some breakfast sandwiches and coffees from the Hilton, and the various cases of water that we bought.
So let's talk about how much a case of water.
So like snacks, we didn't even we should have brought more snacks over.
Yes.
A case of water over there cost
$20.
In America, it's $5. It's 20. And we easily bought probably 4 cases. And we went through all 4 cases.
Exactly. So you could imagine you're somewhere for 5 days, you're on a boat, so lots of water. Should have totally brought water. We bought fruits and vegetables and snacks, no snacks. So we spent quite a bit of money on snacks at the local stores. So our total, which could completely cut this number out,
$970.79. Next time, I'm not even gonna bother stepping foot in a grocery store. I'm going to come over with enough snacks, enough water, and those kinds of things that we were spending our money on. And I guess I would definitely save some money for a dinner.
I would do a dinner. The
nice
dinner was worth it. Our single dinner, actually, it was
only
$100. Only $100. 12% tax, Bahamas. So I think we spent $100 and we both got steaks.
We got one appetizer and one meal each.
Which is pretty normal for the Bahamas, though.
Yes, it is.
So the one that did shock me, though, was the one breakfast.
Yeah,
we got two coffees and two breakfast sandwiches.
Cost $50.
$50.
And the coffee was horrible.
Horrible coffee.
I was like, I don't even know why I got it. Took 2 sips and threw it out.
Yes. So, like I said, that number could totally eliminate that altogether. But we knew we were learning, and I wasn't going to get mad at myself for forgetting water or wanting to go enjoy at least one dinner.
The next thing that you are going to want to do is make sure you have enough cash with you. So you are going to have to tip quite a bit when you're there. You'll tip the people at the dock that are helping you. And I will say they were also very helpful.
Very helpful.
So like when you pull up, they were ready to help tie your lines. They would bring a dock cart over for you. They would ask you if they wanted help like loading your dock cart. So even though you are constantly tipping people at the dock and at the Hilton and maybe the drivers, the tram drivers, if you get in a tram, they are very helpful and very friendly, very nice.
Very worth
So
it.
it was not painful to have to tip these people at all. It was, if anything, it was like, wow, that was really nice. I would like to tip you.
Exactly, that too. And the other thing that might happen is you might have locals come up to you and be like, hey, can I clean your boat? This will happen. We got asked one time if we wanted our boat cleaned. We said, no, thank you. But basically we brought enough cash over to just plan on tipping well if you want, but we basically also believe in tipping. I mean, they're locals and obviously we tipped.
The other thing that went into our cash was when we hired Captain Jamie to come lobstering with us. So of course he was our guide for the day, and if you were to book a charter, you would have to pay the captain of the charter.
Or
tip the crew. So in this case, he came on our boat with us, or I should not say our boat, the wonderful 39 Invincible that we were able to run while we were in Bimini, and he was basically our personal guide for the day.
Exactly.
So we paid him in cash, and the grand total of cash that we spent was $1,000, which I think that was
give or take. We brought $1,000 cash. We came back with some left
maybe
over,
a little bit left,
but spent some on tip. Obviously, tipped our guide. We paid our guide.
We even ended up paying our golf cart in cash.
We did pay the golf cart in cash.
So that was like $400 in cash straight to the golf cart.
So actually,
that's pretty good.
It is pretty good. Now this is the number that might start to sound scary. The major total that we are at right now, we're at $10,170.60. Just keep in mind this was a 5-day trip. But it's the Bahamas, it is very expensive over there, totally worth it. And at this point, what was left?
One small fee.
So on the way home, when you clear customs using the CBP Roam app. And if you have a boat over 29 feet, you're required to get a permit. Now this permit was only $29.96 for us, so nothing too crazy, but if your boat's under 29 feet, totally skip this. And that puts our grand total of the entire trip, 4 nights, 5 days, 2 people,
39-foot boat,
full of fuel, full of ice, an entire cooler of food, an entire cooler of bait,
a dinner and a breakfast,
a ton of tackle,
a
cash for tipping,
flags, cash for tipping,
a 2-bedroom Airbnb,
a golf cart,
all of it. We're at $10,200.56. So that is the entire cost of our trip, and we want to be clearly transparent with you if you guys do want to plan your own trip. I'm going to break it down. So we're at around $10,200.56 for 5 days. We're going to divide that by 5. So we're at just over $2,000 per day, $2,040.11. And let's break that down per person. So 2 people. So per person, per day in Bimini, our trip was just over $1,000, $1,020.06. So I think that kind of helps break things down a little bit. So basically I was $1,000 per day to go to Bimini, covered everything I needed, 39-foot boat, 2-bedroom Airbnb, etc., etc.
And say free. Of course, there are variations to how you could do this trip. I don't believe that if we had done it differently, our price would have come down. So like one example of a variation would be staying at the Hilton. Now you'd be in a hotel room. Now, if you're in a hotel room, you probably can't be cooking and bringing a ton of food over, so your price is gonna go up on meals. That's something to consider.
But you won't have the golf cart.
But you won't have a golf cart, so you'll save $400 on a golf cart. Another option is to go with a group of friends and rent a bigger, more expensive Airbnb with a dock, so then you're not paying dock slips. However, the Airbnb might be more expensive, but if you go with enough people, that price could probably cut down to $200.
So let's also add that we were in a 2-bedroom Airbnb that had bunk beds. So let's say you and me went over with 6 people. I mean, our Airbnb could be
right. We could have put someone on the couch, people on bunk beds, and then people in the master.
Exactly. So I would say that the more people you have, I think that the cost would come down probably quite a bit, especially on your Airbnb, your dock slips, and things like that. Obviously, food. I would totally bring more food.
We hope you guys found this helpful. So hopefully if you start to plan your Bimini trip, you're a little bit more prepared for that sticker shock. Hopefully we brought that down a little bit. We broke it down for you guys. And you can look and see where you can save money, where you might think something's not worth it, that we felt was worth it. Or maybe we're sitting here and you're like, what about something that we're not even thinking of that we didn't really care for? If you guys have any specific questions about this trip, please post them in the comments. We're happy to answer them. But in the meantime, we want you guys to get out there,
have fun, and stay safe.